What up, Com461? It's Will, and before you ask yourself, yes, I am filming in the editing room, and this is Steve Middleton behind me, and this is a video about Pixar. For those of you who don't know, Pixar is a film studio which brings stories to life using the technology of computer animation. They have released 12 films and have amassed 21 Oscars since their 1995 silver screen debut. But Pixar wasn't always a box office powerhouse they are today. They were originally a small branch of the company Lucasfilm. Now, George Lucas was a big fan of computer graphics, but unfortunately, after the royalties stopped coming in for Return of the Jedi and the tanking of Howard the Duck, Pixar was becoming too expensive to maintain. So enter in Steve Jobs. After leaving Apple in 1986, Steve Jobs purchased Pixar from Lucasfilm for $5 million and also invested $5 million of his own into the company. Initially, Pixar was a high-end computer hardware company selling the Pixar Image computer. Their main client base were medical centers, but the computer was not selling well and the company was starting to go under. To try to gain extra revenue and show off the computer's capabilities, Pixar employee John Lasseter began to create computer animated commercials for outside companies. Among these companies were Tropicana and Listerine, and Pixar also helped in the making of Terminator 2. Lasseter also made many short films which won multiple awards, catching the eyes of major film studios. In 1990, Steve Jobs sold Pixar's imaging hardware and software to Vicom Systems. That same year, Pixar moved from San Rafael to Richmond, California. In 1991, Pixar had a rough year and were down to only 41 employees, but they were able to sign a $26 million deal with none other than Disney Studios. Pixar agreed in the deal to make 3 full-length feature films for Disney, the first of which was Toy Story. Despite the deal with Disney, the company was still losing money. Jobs contemplating selling Pixar as late as 1994, but with Disney promising to distribute Toy Story during the holiday season in 1995, Jobs gave it another chance, and the film went on to gross $350 million worldwide. On November 29, 1995, Pixar's stock went public and was valued at $22 a share. Lasseter and a 110-person crew began production in 1993. They had a $30 million budget, which was almost earned back in the film's opening weekend. Toy Story stayed in theaters for 36 weeks and was the highest grossing domestic film in 1995. It was nominated for 3 Academy Awards, including one for Best Screenplay. The film earned Lasseter an Academy Award for creating the first full-length computer animated film. After Toy Story, Pixar was faced with the difficult task of following up its successful first product, but they weren't able to answer the critics by creating A Bug's Life. A Bug's Life took Lasseter and company 4 years to complete. The budget of A Bug's Life was $45 million. It was released in 1998, and despite competition by DreamWorks' Ants, it grossed $33 million in its opening weekend, and stayed at the top of the box office for 3 weeks straight. It was nominated for 1 Academy Award and was able to pass Toy Story's success by grossing over $360 million worldwide. Pixar was now faced with the task of creating a sequel to their first film, Toy Story. Toy Story 2 was originally set to be released on DVD only and not count toward Pixar's 3-film contract. But after Disney saw the graphics and storyline, they decided to have the film be full-length and released in theaters. Pixar, however, did not like the way the film was turning out. So Lasseter, after coming back from a European trip with A Bug's Life, rewrote over half the script to Toy Story 2. This gave the cast and crew 9 months to create the feature. They were able to get it done and release it on November 1st, 1999. It grossed $57 million in its opening weekend and made $485 million worldwide, becoming the 3rd highest grossing film in 1999. It was nominated for 1 Academy Award and surpassed all other animated films in gross except for Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King. The next feature created by Pixar was Monsters, Inc. And yes, Middleton is gone. Pete Docter began production of Monsters, Inc. in 1996 and became the first Pixar film not written and directed by John Lasseter. With a budget of $115 million, the animators used technology to create characters naked and bald and then added the fur and clothing during animation, saving them from having to create and animate 300 hairs individually. Monsters, Inc. was released on November 1st, 2001 and earned $61 million opening weekend. It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards and 1 for Best Original Score. It grossed over $525 million and was the 6th highest grossing film in 2001. With each film grossing more than the next, it seemed as though Pixar could do no wrong. And then came the production of Finding Nemo. Directed by Andrew Stanton, Finding Nemo began pre-production in 1997 with a budget of $97 million. Due to Jobs' negotiations with Disney, the film was released on May 30th, 2003, so the film could be released for the summer, with the DVD coming around in the holiday season. Finding Nemo became the highest grossing animated film on opening weekend, making $70 million. It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards and 1 for Best Animated Film, an award created by the Academy due to the inspiration of Pixar. Pixar. Finding Nemo became the #1 grossing animated film of all time, grossing $339 million in America and $867 million worldwide. Pixar came out of the sea and attacked the world of superheroes by creating the film The Incredibles. The Incredibles was originally written to be a traditional animated film by Warner Brothers, but after the failure of Looney Tunes Back in Action in 2003, director and writer Brad Bird was left with a story to tell and no way of telling it. After talking to college friend John Lasseter, Bird decided to come to Pixar, where the story will be done in computer animation and will be the first Pixar movie where the protagonists were humans. Production began in 2004 with a budget of $92 million. Despite concerns that the film would produce underwhelming results, it grossed $70 million on opening weekend. It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards and won 2. One for Best Sound Editing and another for Best Animated Film. It grossed $631 million worldwide and was the 4th highest grossing film in 2004. The Incredibles was also the first Pixar film to be given a PG rating. On January 24, 2006, Disney bought out Pixar for $7.4 billion. Steve Jobs, who owned 50% of Pixar, now became the #1 stockholder at Disney at 7%. Also, as a part of the deal, John Lasseter, then Executive Vice President, became Chief Creative Officer of both Pixar and Walt Disney Animation Studios. Later on in the year, Pixar came out with its 7th full-length feature film in Cars. After a 3-year film directing hiatus, Lasseter was back in the driver's seat for the making of Cars, which began production in 2001 with a budget of $115 million. It was originally going to be made in 1999 following A Bug's Life, but was scrapped to make room for Toy Story 2. Cars earned $60 million on opening weekend. It was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, including 1 for Best Animated Feature. It went on to gross over $461 million. Cars was also the last film Randy Newman ever worked on. Brad Bird got a second chance to direct a film at Pixar, and he brought back the human protagonist when he wrote Ratatouille. Production began in 2005 with a budget of $115 million. The crew spent a week in France to get a feel for the city and the top restaurants. The team even acted out scenes which would be in the movie, such as diving into a fountain to see how the costumes would react. Ratatouille grossed $47 million on opening weekend, the least amount for Pixar since A Bug's Life. It was nominated for 5 Academy Awards and 1 Best Animated Feature. It also grossed $623 million worldwide. After directing Finding Nemo, Andrew Stanton decided to tackle the final frontier when he created WALL-E. The idea for WALL-E came out of a lunch in 1994 and never left the back of Stanton's mind. While completing Finding Nemo, he began writing the script again, with production finally starting in 2003. WALL-E had a budget of $180 million. Due to the complexity of the film, it had 125,000 storyboards compared to Pixar's normal 70,000. It was released on June 27, 2008. It grossed $63 million in its first weekend. WALL-E was nominated for 6 Academy Awards and won 1 for Best Animated Feature. It earned $94 million in its first week and grossed $521 million worldwide. Pixar was able to follow up the success of WALL-E with Pete Docter's Up. Up began production in 2004 with a budget of $175 million. It opened on May 29, 2009 and grossed $68 million on opening weekend. It was nominated for 6 Academy Awards and won 2. 1 for Best Original Score and the other for Best Animated Feature. Up was the only animated film to be nominated for Best Picture besides Beauty and the Beast. It ranks 3rd all-time on Pixar's grossing list with $171 million worldwide, and is the 6th highest grossing film in 2009. John Lasseter returns to the scene after Up to release Toy Story 3. Production began in 2007 and it had a budget of $200 million. Toy Story 3 was released on June 18, 2010 and grossed $110 million on opening weekend. The film was nominated for 5 Oscars and won 2, including Best Original Song and Best Animated Feature. Toy Story 3 was the 3rd animated film to be nominated for Best Picture. It is the highest grossing animated film of all time, raking in over $1 billion. It also became the #1 grossing film worldwide in 2010. Pixar then released its first sequel since Toy Story 2, with Cars 2. John Lasseter and his production crew started in 2008 with a budget of $200 million. Pixar brought in car and mechanic experts to work alongside with the animators to help understand the working of Cars. Although originally blocked to be released in summer of 2012, Cars 2 was released on June 24, 2011 and grossed $66 million on opening weekend. The film has not yet been nominated for any Oscars, and has grossed over $551 million worldwide. On April 20th, 2010, Pixar opened a brand new studio in Vancouver, although the main headquarters remains in Emeryville, California. Pixar has 2 movies scheduled to come out in 2012, the first of which is called Brave. Following Brave later in the year will be a prequel to the movie Monsters Inc. called Monster University. And that is a just brief overview of Pixar. Yes, my camera angle did change slightly. Thank you for noticing. I hope you enjoyed this, and get out of my face.